The sun dipped low over the quiet suburban park, casting long shadows across the walking path. Jamal sat alone on a wooden bench, legs crossed, a library book open on his lap. His headphones played soft jazz, a calming escape after a long day of school. He glanced up occasionally, watching joggers pass by, parents push strollers, and a few kids chase each other near the fountain. He smiled faintly, then turned a page. Across the street, inside a white SUV, a woman watched him through her tinted windshield. Her name was Karen. She gripped her steering wheel tightly, eyes narrowing with suspicion. Something about the boy unsettled her. Maybe it was the hoodie. Maybe it was the color of his skin. Her fingers hovered over her phone. She looked around. No one else seemed to notice him. He wasn't doing anything. But still, her thumb hit the call button. 911, what's your emergency? The dispatcher asked. Karen lowered her voice, glancing around again. There's a young black male sitting in the park alone. He's been there for a while. Not sure what he's up to, but it looks off. And could be loitering or watching kids. Just seems suspicious. She hung up quickly, feeling justified. In the park, Jamal turned another page. He had no idea someone was watching him. No idea a call had been made. The sun warmed his skin, the music soothed his mind, and danger was quietly. The distant sound of sirens barely registered at first, like an echo carried by the wind. Jamal continued reading, unaware of the approaching danger. The rhythmic beats of his jazz playlist filled his ears, drowning out the world around him. He was just a teenager, taking a moment to breathe between school and his responsibilities. But then he saw the flashing lights, red and blue, slicing through the evening calm. His heart skipped a beat. He removed his headphones, confusion creasing his brow as the police car came into view. It was still a good distance away, but the officer was already slowing down. Jamal stood up instinctively, his hands instinctively slipping into his pockets. He wasn't sure what was happening, but a knot tightened in his stomach. As the car rolled to a stop, the officer stepped out, adjusting his belt as he surveyed the park. His eyes locked onto Jamal with a practiced gaze. "Can I help you, sir?" Jamal asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the tightening in his chest. The officer didn't answer at first. His eyes scanned Jamal's face, then glanced around the park before he finally spoke. "We got a call. Mind standing up?" Jamal's confusion deepened. "What for?" The officer didn't answer directly. He just stood there, waiting. The tension in the air was palpable now. Jamal felt his palms begin to sweat, the book he'd been holding slipping from his fingers to the ground. Just as the officer stepped closer, the sound of tires screeching against the pavement shattered the uneasy silence. A black SUV whipped around the corner and into the park entrance, coming to a swift stop in front of the officer and Jamal. The car's door flew open, and a woman stepped out, her heels clicking sharply on the pavement. She moved with purpose, her sharp, confident stride contrasting sharply with the stillness that hung in the air. Jamal's heart raced. He wasn't sure what to make of the situation. Was she here to help? Or was she another person who might think he was causing trouble? But as soon as the woman spoke, everything shifted. "Excuse me," she said, her voice commanding and filled with authority. "That's my son." The officer froze, eyes widening as he turned toward her. Jamal stood still, watching the woman, unable to move or speak. The woman's gaze was laser-focused on the officer, her posture stiff with control. She reached for her jacket, where a badge glinted beneath the fabric. The officer, now visibly nervous, stepped back a few inches. The air seemed to crackle with tension. The woman stood tall, unyielding, her eyes never leaving the officer's. She glanced at Jamal for just a moment, her expression softening slightly before she turned back to the officer. "You're questioning my son?" she asked, her voice low but filled with an undeniable power. The officer didn't know how to respond. He just stood there, uncertain, as the woman took another step forward. The woman's hand moved slowly to her jacket, and as she pulled it back, the unmistakable gleam of a badge shone brightly in the fading sunlight. FBI, she stated, her voice firm and unwavering. Chief Washington. The officer's eyes went wide, his posture instantly changing from tense to respectful. Jamal stood motionless, his heart pounding in his chest as he processed the situation. He had no idea who this woman was, but the power radiating from her was undeniable. Karen, still standing a few feet away, went completely still. The color drained from her face as she realized who the woman was. The words FBI chief seemed to echo in the air, and Karen's mouth hung slightly open in disbelief. This was not just any mother. The woman, Chief Washington, turned her gaze back to the officer. Her voice remained calm, but there was an edge to it now that sent a chill through the officer. I'm not sure what's going on here, but my son is doing nothing wrong. He's sitting in a public park. You had no reason to approach him. The officer looked at the ground, shifting uneasily. He had no defense. He had responded to a call that now felt utterly ridiculous. The woman's sharp gaze turned to Karen, who stood frozen by her car. The air was thick with tension. You made the call, didn't you? Chief Washington's voice was cold, though not raised. It didn't need to be. Karen tried to stammer something out, but no words came. She had expected a typical response, maybe an apology. But in that moment, there was only silence. Suspense lingered. The consequences of her actions were unfolding right before her eyes, and she had no idea how to stop it. The scene shifted the next day as the story of what had happened in the park spread like wildfire. A video clip shot by a passerby had already made its way onto social media. In the grainy footage, Chief Washington's calm authority and the stunned silence of Karen were undeniable. The clip played over and over, the contrast between the two women stark. One, poised and unwavering, the other caught in the act of making an accusation she couldn't take back. The video's caption read, FBI chief confronts woman who called police on her son for no reason. By the time the video went viral, Jamal had already been interviewed by several news outlets. In front of the camera, his voice was steady, though the tension was still visible in his posture. I was scared, he admitted, looking down briefly. But I'm proud of my mom. She showed me what it means to stand up for yourself. His words resonated deeply, not just because of the unjust situation he had found himself in, but because they echoed a message of empowerment in the face of racial profiling. Meanwhile, Karen's life was unraveling in a way she hadn't anticipated. News articles began to appear, digging into her background. Her name, once hidden behind the 911 call, was now plastered across media outlets. The comments were brutal. A simple park visit turned into an entire world of regret, one comment read. Others followed with accusations, demanding she apologize, questioning her motivations and labeling her actions as racist. The public scrutiny was relentless. Chief Washington, however, had not commented publicly, yet. Her silence, however, spoke volumes. The message was clear. Actions have consequences. The situation, which had begun with a simple, misguided phone call, had spiraled into a reckoning for both Karen and the broader community.